So I was reading about wars and rumors of wars, and I found it interesting because the disciples had asked Jesus, you know, when will you be coming back? In fact, I'll even quote them in this passage. They said, tell us, they said, when will this happen, and what will the sign of your coming and the end of age? And then Jesus responded, you will hear wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these things are the beginning of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me. And his response basically emphasized events that would take place before the end.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think?
He says that they're birth pains, and with birth pains, when my wife was giving birth to our children, they start off with a very low intensity, right? And as she gets closer to having the baby, they intensify more and more and more. So I think what Jesus is talking about in that specific sign, that there would be an increased intensity of wars and rumors of wars. And it's interesting, the word there for when it talks about wars and rumors of wars, the word is ethnikos. Mm-hmm. And ethnikos is not describing nation against nation, though that happens in our time. It's talking about ethnic groups fighting with other ethnic groups. Mm-hmm. And just right now, I think they there's about 40 or more wars going on in the world, but most of them are revolutions happening within specific nations.
Right.
But it's it's something that I think we're seeing with ever increasing intensity, and you see it everywhere on every continent.
Oh, of course.
There's ethnikos happening.
It amazes me that in that passage he puts together these wars and the persecution, a persecution of believers, followers of Jesus, his disciples together, and that's what you see right now. If you look at North Korea, you look at Venezuela, they were doing the same thing, except for the Roman Catholic Church, which in some instances there's something with that. Mm-hmm. But you see it happening everywhere. Syria, in the Middle East, Africa, going on in Africa. There's wars going on, but you're looking at the Christian people being persecuted during that in all these areas. And it's coming here to the United States. When we have stuff with the wars going on everywhere, there's war coming here with the rumors of wars coming here. I say right now it's rumors of wars. Right. You got Russia, you have China, you have North Korea, you have all these who's going to come, Iran, you have all these rumors that someone's around.
Even Venezuela of late, right? There's been talk of the United States again defending the liberty of the people in Venezuela with this dictator in place, but.
Look at Croatia, Ukraine. Look at what's going on over there. You have all these things happening right now.
The potential of the Ukrainian-Russian situation is a perfect example of ethnikos. What's happening in Venezuela is ethnikos. Syria is ethnikos.
Turkey with the Kurds. Yeah. They want to eradicate them. They want to. It's so much going on.
And you see it in North Africa. You see, you're seeing it.
Nigeria, the whole Boko Haram.
Right.
It's
even everywhere right now.
Or even in, I believe, in South Africa with the farmers.
Yes,
it's true.
The government going against the white farmers.
Yeah.
Taking
Honduras.
Yeah.
It's happening, and it is happening. With a much greater intensity than any time in my lifetime. It's happening, and the potential. You have the potential for, literally for world wars, which is what I think there's a fear that, with now Russia moving into, Russia has moved into the neighborhood, and China has moved into the neighborhood in the Middle East with what's going on in, in Syria. Obviously, the United States is there. There's a potential there for it to, erupt into a world war. What's happening in the Ukraine? There's potential there. What's happening in the Pacific with China just flexing their muscles, and they're building these military islands, and and they want Taiwan back, and there's most people look at that, and there's potential there, but again, this is something that we're seeing with ever-grading intensity all over the the world at this time.
Right. It seemed like us as watchers looking at things, we look at Syria for a while, we're saying, man, this Isaiah chapter 17 is going to happen right there, right? Damascus, a ruinous heap.
The destruction of Damascus.
Destruction.
It's still there. Hasn't happened yet. I mean, it's still, it looks crazy, but it's still there.
The city's in ruins, but what it describes is it becoming uninhabitable.
Uninhabitable.
I take that as I'm thinking it's a nuclear bomb. I'm thinking it's Chernobyl.
Chemical weapons or biological, something where it makes the city entirely uninhabitable.
Mm-hmm.
That's war. That's part of war. And then you hear Turkey. It blew my mind. I mean, I know this is part of the war scenario that you have Ezekiel 38, and you have these nations that never been friendly to each other.
Yeah.
Russia and Iran, they've hated each other. They fought wars against each other. They hate each other. And here they're coming together in one area. In that area we're talking about, Syria.
Yeah, well, you look at what we see happening in this alignment of nations with Russia and with Iran and with Turkey, with the Muslim nations of Northern Africa. You have Ezekiel 38 and 39, just playing out before our eyes. Again, the bear has moved into the neighborhood, and what it tells us is that that this leader Rosh. This leader of Rosh, Gog, will bring Russia down in some type of pact with Persia, which is Iran, and eventually they will invade. They will invade Israel, and I think we could be very close to that. To that happening.
I thought about that when he's making that statement of wars, rumors of wars. When we're looking through the scriptures, we hear of Old Testament wars that are supposed to happen, right? But they never say in how they're all going to happen. What if they're all converging right now at the same time? Because you have a war in Psalm 82 that some people believe there's a Psalm 82 war coming. Mm-hmm. So, the one with Elam, the one in Daniel 8, I think, was it the double one in Daniel 8, Ezekiel 38 as well. And that could all be coalescing at one, it doesn't have to happen so separate. It could be one started and it just...
Because a lot of people believe that Psalm 82 will happen first, and then Ezekiel 38 and 39 follow. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I do believe what we're seeing. We're seeing the chessboard is set as God, said it would be, and we're seeing the alignment of nations. So as believers, we should be prepared, because I believe the Lord's coming. Mm-hmm. The Lord's coming very soon.
Amen.
And He can come at any moment.
And we hold on to that promise. I mean, all of these wars are brutal, but I believe there's two wars going on. One is with Satan, and Satan's infiltrating our hearts.
The war of all wars.
The war of all wars, yeah. And the other war is a culture war. Mm. It's a culture war that's been permeating in this country for a while. We have men that want to be women and women that want to be men, and we as believers we're kind of at war with that.
A war between good and evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no question. That's Satan trying to very, much undermine the very principles of God. And you look at his attacks, and attack against marriage. Now, marriage is, as with the Supreme Court making their decision, now a woman can marry a woman and a man can marry a man. You're talking. I was reading the other day that now they're identifying that there are 15 different sexualities. It's not just a man and a woman anymore. But it's again this is just Satan. He's attempting to undermine the very things of God. You look at abortion, and now just in these recent weeks, infanticide being introduced. The governor of Virginia talking on the radio about, and he's a former pediatrician, and he's saying that he is basically fine with a child being born and then the parents making a decision as to whether that child should live or not, and with the doctors and the child basically being able to be put to death. And I look at that, and I mean that's. Again, it's an affront and attack against the things of God. A person being created in His image and likeness, and I think that something that as I look at this that I'm hit with. I mean, we're again becoming more and more evil. It's like America we're becoming like Nazi Germany, and it's extremely it's alarming. With what has happened. Again, all of this I think is as a believer, as you look at this, He said to us that people would grow worse, they would get worse and worse, and again, evil would become dominant in this world. And as much evil as we see, it's going to intensify. And again, these are all signs, I think, that indicate that he's coming. That he's coming.
Of course.
Romans, I think 128 speaks of God giving him over to a debased mind. And you hear what this man was saying. He believes he's compassionate about what he's saying because he believes that we don't want to put any pain on the child. But how do you know?
Yeah.
How you're making a decision of God where you're taking a life? Who's giving you that position? You don't have that right. You're supposed to save life, not destroy life. The enemy destroys life. And he's this pediatrician. I would never want him to watch over my kids. I would never have him be my doctor to my children.
No, neither would I. My wife said that last night. She said that, no, I mean, could you imagine putting your child's hands in? It's like putting their hands in the hands of the devil.
Right.
I'll tell you that that's something that we chose. We chose doctors. We chose gynecologists, and we chose our pediatricians who were opposed to abortion. Because even a gynecologist delivering a baby, we don't want Satan's hands. We didn't want Satan's hands touching our children. But again, all of this is just the things we're discussing here. It's people growing worse and worse, and becoming more and more evil. Amen.